What's up everybody? Welcome back to Charlie's Cookline. I'm Charlie, that's Cookline. And on today's episode, we're gonna make something that you didn't know you really needed in your life until you clicked on this link. And that's Kimchi Chilaquiles. Let me show you our ingredients. All right, we're just gonna pan through it really quick. We got some cilantro, some stale tortillas, an ear of corn, shallot, onion, 2 fresh tomatoes picked from my wife, Kissa's garden, 2 jalapenos also from my wife's garden. We've got some cotija cheese, a cucumber, a pair of avocados, a pair of limes, 4 eggs, and then we've got chicken breast and chicken skin. This is from our chicken breakdown video, so if you haven't seen that yet, I'm gonna leave the link in the description so that you can go check it out. Okay. Ingredients check, let's get started. I start with a fresh cutting board and I move some of our ingredients aside so that we have ample space to work on this chicken breast. I cut it in half so it's easier to slice on a bias against the grain, and that just makes it a lot more easy and pleasant to eat. I try to do bite-sized pieces, but they are on the large side, and that's okay. Once the chicken breast is all sliced, put it aside and work on our chicken skin. This I cut into 3 pieces to make it easier to render off and get crispy. Set that aside and clean our knife and cutting board. Then raid your pantry for some sea salt, black pepper, fresh cracked preferably, cayenne pepper, chili powder, and cumin. Then thoroughly stir that. Set it aside, wash your hands, and we're gonna get our chilaquiles sauce prepped. So we drop in our tomatoes first, making sure to remove the stems. Same with our jalapenos, cut off those tops. And then just use the stems for your cilantro. We're gonna save the tops for garnish. Pinch of sea salt. Fill it up halfway with water, lid, put on low heat. On a non-stick frying pan, arrange your chicken skin so that they're as flat as you can get them, and start rendering it at medium-low heat. While that's going, let's prepare our corn. You're just gonna cut it off the cob and get as close to it as possible without actually cutting into the cob itself. Get yourself a container, put your corn in there, set it aside because we're gonna start working on the shallot. Cut your root and the top off, peel off the skin, and cut it as thinly as you can. And as you're trying to focus on cutting as thinly as possible, you remember that you forgot to add the onion to our chilaquiles sauce. So we'll just peel off the skin, grab our pot, squeeze it in there, and get it back on the heat. While we wait for stuff to cook, we're gonna work on some garnish. In this case, I have a Persian cucumber, and I'm gonna slice it on a bias. You can do rounds, you can do squares. I think the bias just looks nicer. Put it in a container, then we salt them a little bit so we can draw out the extra liquid. Give it a nice stir, set aside for now. Tortillas, you can cut these into triangles. I decided to go with strips just because they fry a lot quicker, they get crispier faster, and I just think it's fun. Fan them out, and then grab yourself a non-stick frying pan, and we're gonna shallow fry these tortillas until they're nice and crispy. Clean off our work surface a little bit, and then we're gonna continue to work on our garnish. Tightly roll your cilantro and do a quick chiffonade. Drop your greens into another container and set them aside for now. Just grab our cotija cheese, take it out of the packaging, and start crumbling it. I like to leave my crumbles rough, that way you get some nice small pieces and large pieces. It just looks better for plating. And then this stuff sticks, like it sticks really bad. I'm trying to clean off as much as I can and I just give up. I grab my vacuum and I clean up my work surface that way. That works too. Okay, roll up your limes, put them aside. We're gonna check on the chicken skin. Nearly there, we're just gonna fry it a little bit longer to draw out more fat. Grab your tortillas, salt them while they're still hot, and then remember your chicken skin, they're ready to come off. And you're gonna save that fat because we're gonna cook our corn and our shallots in it. A little bit of salt, and back on the heat. At this point, our second batch of tortillas are ready, so we salt those, set them aside, and we check on our chilaquile sauce. You want to cook this until the tomatoes start to blister, and this is what I mean. Like the skin is just coming off. And you're gonna empty the contents of your pot into the blender. And this is where we deviate a little bit from a traditional chilaquile. Instead of using the liquid that we boiled our vegetables in, we're just gonna use a touch of it and add our secret ingredient. Have you guys guessed it yet? I'm gonna tell you. Our kimchi. So we're gonna pour all of our kimchi liquid into this blender. Thank you for the slow-mo, that looks nice. And we're gonna go ahead and put a heaping, healthy portion of kimchi in there. Pop the top, blend it up until it's smooth, and pour it right back into our sauce pot. And this goes back on the heat at low. Corn is done. Grab ourselves a container. Empty the contents of our pan. Raid the fridge for whole fat yogurt and some mayonnaise. Add a teaspoon of mayo to your corn, a heaping tablespoon of yogurt, and 2 heaping tablespoons of cotija cheese, a pinch of cilantro, and a squeeze of lime. And we've got ourselves a pretty good elote, but we're gonna turn it up a little bit and deviate from tradition yet again. Instead of chili powder, we're going with gochujang, Korean pepper paste. And this is gonna bring a little bit of heat to our elote and really drive in those Korean flavors, which really complement the Mexican flavors of this dish. Keep stirring in that paste until it's thoroughly combined, and then set aside. In a preheated frying pan, we're gonna start cooking our chicken breast over medium-high heat. And then we grab our eggs, crack them into a bowl, and for our egg element of this dish, we're gonna do a Korean rolled omelet called giranmari. And excuse my pronunciation, I probably got that wrong, but instead of doing the minced carrot and onion, we're gonna grab a tablespoon of our gochujang elote and mix that into our egg. Grab yourself a nonstick pan. I've got this fancy square one, so I'm gonna cook the omelet in that. At this point, our chicken breast is done, so I just transfer it into this container, and I'm gonna set it aside until we're ready to plate. In the same frying pan, I'm gonna put a heaping handful of our crispy tortillas, and then ladle our chilaquile kimchi sauce over that and stir fry it a little bit on the heat. Okay, so try not to laugh, but my rolled omelet refused to cooperate with me. So I have the sushi mat that I'm gonna try to help force a shape onto it. Pack it up tightly and move it aside. And then our chicken skin, I just crumble up into little croutons and then set that aside. Grab the fanciest plate in your cupboard, clean it off, and let's start layering our elements. So for the bottom layer, we've got our kimchi chilaquile. Just cover that with a little bit of cotija cheese. And grab our gochujang elote and just be really liberal with this stuff because it's so good. And then we top our next layer with chicken breast. Add as much or as little as you'd like, but don't forget, star of the show, the kimchi chilaquile. So show a little bit of restraint. Next, we're gonna add some freshness to this dish, and that is with our cucumbers. Just gonna fan a little bit next to the chicken breast, and then grab our rolled omelet. I do 3 thick slices, and I put that right next to our cucumbers. We're just gonna work our way all the way around this plate. Our next element is more kimchi, and we're really gonna drive in that kimchi flavor, but we don't wanna overwhelm this dish with too much kimchi, so we're just gonna put a little pinch of it right next to our omelet. Up next is avocado. This one's a little bit past its prime date, but that doesn't bother me too much, so I'm still gonna use it. Just scrape off the darker pieces, slice it up, and then I'm very carefully just gonna place it right next to the kimchi. Notice on your plate that we put really heavy elements right next to fresh elements to bring balance to this dish. Okay, we're getting close to finishing. We're gonna top our chicken breast with some chicken skin, And then we're gonna ladle more of our Kimchi Chilaquiles sauce around that skin. Pop of color with more cotija cheese. Freshness with a pinch of cilantro. Garnish with lime. Place at the edge of your plate. And then bring that to the camera for the thumbnail shot. God, that's looking good. All right, let's eat. Can you see in the camera if my head's cut off?
Yes.
It is.
It's like up to your nose.
Oh, crap. Okay. Here it is, guys. Smelling this all day. Been thinking about it all week. Now we get to eat. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, where do we start? Let's do the lime first. I've only made this a couple times, so I always look forward to it whenever it's time to dig in. But that first bite, I promise you guys, it's so familiar, yet so unique. You just gotta try to make it yourself, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So I typically just start tearing into the chilaquiles, because I want to get a little bit of everything in each bite. So some kimchi, piece of chicken, some cucumber, a smudge of avocado. Oh, gotta go for chicken skin. And some of the egg rolled omelet. Look at that. Huge bite. We lost a chip. Here we go. Oh, that was a big bite. Okay. Excuse me while I talk with my mouth full, but man, it's got all the textures and flavors that you expect in a chilaquile, but you get that distinct fermented flavor from kimchi. And if you use my kimchi recipe, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. You get this nice bite from the ginger that we put in the kimchi, and it's a different kind of heat that you would typically get from a jalapeno or the chili that we put in here, but it just adds to the depth of everything that's going on. You know what, I didn't get any of our gochujang elote in that first bite, so here goes the second one. So, sorry, I'm gonna keep talking with my mouth full, but since we cooked with chicken breast, the one thing that this dish would have lacked is fat. So by adding that elote and the chicken skin and our avocado, it brings in all of the bold citrusy flavors and really grounds this so that your mind can make sense of what's going on in your head. And then the freshness of our cucumber and our cilantro, and then that squeeze of lime, man, it takes what would be a heavy dish and really lightens it up. So it makes you feel like you're eating something good for you, but in actuality you're not. Okay, I'm gonna stuff my face, but before I do that, I wanna thank you guys for making it all the way to the end of the video. And if you wanna see more stuff like this that I guarantee you won't see on any other YouTube channel, hook me up with a subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends and family, and let me know in the comments what you wanna see next. Give me ingredients, challenge me, and I'm gonna step up to the plate and make it an incredible dish just like this one. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Should I cut out the blowkiss and redo my outro?
You could just cut it out. You don't need to like...
Yeah, but it's gonna be a weird cut. I'm just gonna leave it in.